the ENVIROlocity Career Seekers Interview Series. There is also a blog series, which you can find on the website at the Environmental Career Coach /blog. In the interview series, we are looking to speak with people from all types of environmental careers about their career paths, how they got where they were, why they chose that specific job, and then so you can hear from real people in real positions in environmental work, because there's just so much out there. And so the intent is that over time we'll have a repository of jobs across the board that you can take a look at and help you to take charge and navigate your future in your career. If you have any suggestions for careers you'd like to hear more about, something that you're interested in, or you know somebody who might be great to interview, just feel free to leave a comment or email me, and I'll see what I can do to make that happen. So let's get started this morning with Jennifer Lana. Jen, thank you for being here. Can you just start by telling us what your title is and what you do?
Sure. Thank you for having me. So I am Jennifer Lana. I am currently the GIS Manager at Cobb County, Georgia. We are part of Metro Atlanta. Our county has about 800,000 people, and on my team, in total for in the county, we have about 35 GIS professionals. So I manage everything from budgets to technology, servers, data, websites, training, all of the above.
That's awesome. I love technology, except this morning where we are supposed to be live, but today we're recording behind the scenes because the go live just did not work, no matter what both of us technical people tried to do. So yeah, so I didn't know you had 35 people. That is a lot. That's awesome. How did you, so I want people to hear in these interviews, you know, how you got where you are. So we worked together in the past in more of a environmental specific role. Can you just kind of speak a little bit about, you know, how you started in GIS and then how you ended up where you were at?
Sure. I might date myself here. So when I did my undergraduate studies in the early 90s, GIS was not a major. There were GIS classes within my geography department, but my undergraduate degree is actually environmental planning. And then I went on to get my master's degree in geology. And again, it was not a direct line of study in the university, but I took classes. So my first job was with the state of Mississippi. And I came in getting excited about doing geology. And then all of a sudden they're like, hey, we just bought this really new GIS system and we don't know much about it. So you and this other person are going to start doing it.
Awesome.
So from that point on, I've lived in several different states doing GIS at different levels as a contractor to Department of Energy, with the county in Tampa, a private engineering company as well. So I've kind of done it a lot, but initially GIS was not my career thought because it wasn't necessarily a defined field to go into. And I've seen it evolve from command line GIS, if anybody remembers that, to what it is now, which is just amazing.
Yeah, that's awesome. So you're kind of a pioneer, pioneer woman. And, you know, I didn't start as soon as you did, but I remember some of the very early versions where there was a lot more higher level barrier of entry to get started with it. Much easier to use and get started now. Yeah. But so many cool and fun things, and I've seen a lot of fun things come out of Cobb County too. Let's jump back a little bit to, so you started in environmental planning and geology. What was your reason for getting into the environment?
I grew up in the coast in Maryland, so we spent a lot of time outside. And I could never see myself, although that's how it ended up, kind of at a desk job. I wanted something so I could get outside because that's how I grew up. So that's kind of what really geared me towards environmental planning. And then geology, just because rocks are cool, and beach erosion is really what I studied. So having grown up at the coast, I was determined to try to make a difference in that field because that was very important to me. But GIS kind of took all those things and put it together in a different way that I had never looked at before to help model and bring that things together to make decisions. So I think it's a really great evolution of how I started to where I am, because now we deal with data every day to make decisions. And at a county level, I can still feel like I make a difference. not so much environmental wise, because we don't do a whole lot of that in my organization specifically. We do have other local ones that do, but so mine is basically a county management standpoint, but I still like it that I feel like I can make a difference in what people do and make decisions based on real data and real science instead of just theories.
Great. And I think that's a good point that people should hear, is that a lot of people think when they first start out, they have this idea of what their career is going to look like. And I think it's a common theme amongst the environmental professionals that I know, is that they're more often than not, their careers are completely different than they thought they would be when they were in school. So it's best to kind of have an open mind and have more of an idea about the change you want to create than what the actual position looks like, maybe, because you might shut down an offer to take on this new GIS thing if you are like, no, I'm doing this over here. And I think too, with like I don't know about you, Jen, but when I was in school, there wasn't even anything about resiliency and sustainability. And, there's a whole, it's not even just like GIS, there's a whole new, philosophy and school of thought and teaching that didn't exist then either.
And a lot of places are hiring like resiliency coordinator. Like that's a real position.
Right, exactly.
That's really cool.
And then those people, you can start off in that and be a pioneer in that field as well, because they're brand new. So talk to a little bit about, you do a lot of hiring, and then do you have any GIS persons that just do environmental work?
So in our county, I have a core team of about 4 to 5 people that we concentrate on the technology side, the servers, the databases, the backups, the mobile apps, the websites, things like that. And then we have teams that concentrate on each department. So for example, our biggest GIS group supports our water agency, whether that's inlets, stormwater. So that does have an environmental approach in the stormwater side of GIS, where the inlets go, where does the water flow, flooding, things like that. That's our biggest group. And within that group, I believe there are 7 people that just do GIS to support that whole agency. But then we have the other teams that support our DOT for fiber networks, our smart streetlights, sidewalks, pedestrian flow, things like that, security, police, parcels, land use planning, conservation land. So I think even though we don't have a department necessarily that does environmental, each group kind of touches on it in different ways. Like the conservation group, or the group that works on conservation lands within our planning and tax group. Our watershed alliance team and the water agency that does things like monitor the rivers and does the water quality and the fish counts. And then we have parks. We have an amazing parks department, and then their maintenance of our trails and natural habitats. So we don't necessarily have a specific environmental group, but I think within each team, there is a desire and there's a passion within some of those people to do that work. So the opportunities are really endless. And I do get to hire a lot of people, good and bad. It's a process. But what I'd like to tell, and we have interns. So we have really great universities around us, and we get fabulous interns every semester. And then if you go to the Cobb County GIS webpage, you'll see some of their projects out there, like our trails. The food resource story map is one that one of our interns just did and put out.
That's cool. I'd like to share that actually.
Is about pecans. Pecans in Georgia. And whether you say pecan or pecan, that's also a question that you can answer on that story map. So it's very wide and it's very different. But that's the really great thing about GIS is even if you determine that you want to do a certain thing, you may not end there, but there's always an opportunity to kind of reach back somehow to it.
Great. And I think too that the story maps is a great, if you want to go check out what Jen was talking about, the intern projects, even if you're not interning, but you like GIS, or even if you are just wanting to bump up your GIS skills, the story maps is a great free resource to just learn what putting that data together looks like. And there's so much free information you can pull into that and do some really cool, fun stuff with it. And just, help yourself stand out, which is what we're always talking about. Jen, do you want to talk more about what you look for with your interns and maybe some best practices for people who are trying to get some experience?
Yeah, and I think talking about story maps, that is fantastic. We're a big organization, so we need people that can do Python scripting and story maps and data and fieldwork. Not all organizations are as big like us, though, and story maps and learning ArcGIS Online capabilities and technology is one of the biggest things I tell our interns, because even if they go to a smaller organization, whether private or public, story maps can get you a lot, make you go really far. I see a lot of people that are entering the workforce that really try to do big projects at first. But a lot of times what I've learned is those smaller projects can really be a big win. Don't always go for the biggest project. From my experience, they're often the hardest. And that's not always a good thing to do whenever you're starting out. So whatever the situation may be, kind of figure out how to solve a problem, and story maps or web maps are a really great way to get in and impress people, especially those that do not want to know programming and do not need to know the back-end analysis of it. They just want the results. And that's a really, at least from us, we've made that commitment to make sure that story maps and easy to access data is important. And those can be the big wins. So we do see some people, again, that come in with a big project and a big idea, but that's not always the best approach to start out with. You have to earn that trust to be able to do those big projects.
That's a good point. And I think too, like if you're trying to get into a small nonprofit, so nonprofits are usually, they're hard up for cash. So they have a hard time bringing in special projects like that. So if you look at their website and it doesn't look spectacular, and they're collecting data on something and you don't see any visuals on it or spatial data, then that's an opportunity maybe for you to say, oh, maybe I can impress them by showing them some small project I can do that will let them maybe see the bigger picture on things they might want to bring you on board for to do in the future.
Absolutely, yes.
Plus, it's just so much fun.
It is. And it is a great way to contribute. And again, building that trust, especially when you enter the workforce, even though you may be passionate, you have lots of ideas, you still have to build that trust that they will let you do more. And story maps, like I tell our interns, I mean, it's a great way to enable that trust initially. It doesn't have to be a big project, but if you follow LinkedIn, so I work for Cobb County. So you follow LinkedIn, you pay attention to the newspapers, what's happening in your neighborhood, and kind of find a problem that way. And we've done that before, where you can notice the paper's writing an article about a data set or maybe flood analysis in the county, and immediately we can help solve that problem. And maybe not solve the problem, but provide data to those that are making those decisions. So I always say to pay attention to what's going on in your community. Don't kind of sit in your office and close the door. I mean, LinkedIn and Facebook and, again, newspaper sites, they're really important, because if you can understand what your elected officials or management are having issues with, or the problems that they have to deal with, or complaints that they are getting, and give them something to help them, right away helps that trust and will enable you to do more and more and more, whether it's hiring more people or getting more data or more servers or more laptops or tablets to use in the field. Every little bit of that helps.
Yeah, that's a great point. I think the key thing there is problem solving. If you can be a good problem solver, you are a valuable asset to anybody.
Right.
Awesome. So in your career experience, are there any moments that stand out or key decisions, things that you would offer as advice for persons coming up in the field now?
Sure. So, they always tell you never to talk bad about places you've worked, people that you've worked with. Kind of take that to heart, but learn from it. I've had 2 internships when I was in school. One was not so great at all, where I was filing papers for months. And then I had another internship that was fabulous. Just don't let those bad experiences get you down. And if your first job is not what you think it's going to be, which may often be the case, or even your second job, it doesn't have to be your favorite job, and it doesn't have to be your forever job, but you should still put in your best effort and learn from it and then move on. Just don't let that side, derail you from what you want to do, because you will get disappointed, whether it's with people or projects early on. And I've been told no many times. getting to where I am in this career has not been an easy thing. Sometimes as a female in a technology world, starting 20 years ago and even working till now, you have to be passionate about what you want. And if you believe in it like I do, then you'll get there. But many times in my career, I have heard the word no, whether it's a project or a new way to collect data or store data. But even if I get told no 4 or 5 times, I might get told yes 1 or 2. And those are the times that you have to shine. You take any opportunity you can get and make that 110%. And then you'll get told no less and less and less once you have those moments.
Right. So there is a little bit of experience and trust and respect that comes with having done something over time successfully for a while. I know that the younger, I don't know if you see this with your interns and some of your new hires, but I feel like some of the younger people, they're eager to get out there and they want to make a difference and come straight out of the gate, like doing big, huge things. So you got to respect the process a little bit. It takes time for people to wait and see like what you're capable of.
It is, and it does take time, for sure.
Great. So one thing I like to ask people that I interview is, what's your favorite way to network or to meet with new people and get new opportunities?
For me, Laura, you know me, but I like to talk. I'm a very social person, but that does not fit the bill for everybody. I like to get involved in local organizations. So here in Georgia, I'm part of Georgia ERISA, which they have lunch meetings every month on some kind of technology, environmental, or GIS project. And you go and you meet people there. We also have regional commissions that have meetings. As a county manager, in my role, I'd like to put in the best effort from the county perspective and reach out to citizens. So I do public meetings. I offer training classes. Participate. I'm not sure if that's the right word, but participate in your profession, whether it's conferences or papers, or even just attending meetings. You'll meet people, you'll learn so much in every situation you go to. And then it just also shows other people that you're committed to your work and committed to what you do. And that goes a really long way.
That's good advice. I think that's something I wish I had done sooner. I kind of walk the line between introvert and extrovert. And I think a lot of scientists and engineering people feel that they are introverts. I hear that a lot too. I don't want to network. I'm an introvert. You still have to participate and get out there. And I think like when I went through college, I didn't go right after high school. So I was a little bit older and I checked out of everything. I just wasn't a participator. And I think that's great. You should be a participator. And if you feel like you're an introvert, find ways to show up and get over it. In life and in work, you have to interact with people, so.
We were very lucky last year. Esri asked us to be part of their plenary session at their International User Conference in California, which meant my team got to speak in front of 18,000 people live.
Awesome.
So 5 people on my team got to speak, and it was a mix, and it was very difficult. But doing that was also an honor. So if you get asked to do things like that, and they can be scary, and it's okay to be nervous, but still realize that if you're being asked to speak or share something you're passionate about, then that means that somebody believes in you. And yeah, it can be very nerve-wracking, and but it's still so important to do that as well, just kind of to get over those fears. And it's easier for some people than others, but it is a really important part. If you're passionate about what you do, nobody's going to come knock on your door and give you an award. You really have to get out there and be a cheerleader for what you do, because sometimes you're the only one that's going to do that for yourself.
Yeah, great point. All right. Anything looking back on your hindsight in your career you would have done differently?
I think there's many little things I would have done differently, but it might not have taken me here. For example, I was in Florida and it was fantastic and I never thought I'd leave. And then came the recession and we were forced out of a job. I got laid off a couple of times, and so did many other people. I am not alone in that.
Nope.
I did not have my sights on Georgia as a career opportunity, but like you said earlier, you have to be open to that. because the opportunities are there, and you really have to make the best of it wherever you go. There is good and bad everywhere. It just, no matter if you live in a place or where you work or whatever. But if you always try to find the good, it will work out. So just like I said, we didn't plan on coming to Georgia, but we were open to the opportunity and the idea, and well, I needed a job. But by having that openness and be willing and just believing so much in what I do, I knew I didn't want to change careers. I wanted to stay in GIS. So we just kind of followed where it led us. And that again can be really scary. And I was blindsided by being laid off a couple of times. And it wasn't something I was expecting, but you just stay with it. And if you get a chance, anyone, to do internships, no matter what age you are or what point you are in your career, they're fantastic. Taking those online classes are really important. Esri has them really affordable. There's a lot of other free seminars available as well. So I don't really have any regrets, but just my advice would be just kind of be open to it, because you just don't know what's going to happen. And anytime you go to an interview, from my standpoint, make sure that you're well dressed and you're prepared. I've had several people that we've interviewed, and they come into the interview and don't even know what job they're there to interview for. So make sure that you at least do that. That's
good point. I recall some interviewees just going, wow, really? But that's everywhere. You meet managers that you go, wow, really? And people in senior positions, you go, wow, really? Like, how? Don't be that person. That's really good advice. I think we've used up most of our time. Is there anything else that you want to add that I didn't get to ask you?
No, I mean, I really appreciate the opportunity. I think for some career seekers now, which is different than what it was for me, is that there are different paths of GIS. Again, when I started, it wasn't a major. So, I mean, you just learned GIS and that's what you did. But now there are different ways. You can either concentrate on the technology side, you can concentrate on the cartography side, on the analysis side. But what I'd like to tell our interns is don't put pressure on yourself to figure out one right away, because GIS is such a big world, and even environmental studies, it's just, there are so many components to it, and you will not know them all first when you get out of school. I've been doing this forever, and I still learn new stuff every day. So you have to be open and willing to do that. And sometimes I see people that come in that may believe that they know it all or aren't willing to learn new things. With environmental sciences and GIS, you have to be willing to learn new things because it changes every day. So that's really what I would encourage people to do.
Excellent. All right. So thank you so much for being here. And
Absolutely.
I always finish it off. I don't know where this comes from, some other famous television, and I'm totally ripping it off from a third party, finishing off with some lightning round questions. So I will just throw out 2 words for you, this or that kind of thing, and you just tell me which one off the top of your head is the one that resonates with you. So, ready?
Sure.
Okay, hiking or biking?
Hiking.
Driving or flying?
Flying.
Cats or dogs?
Dogs.
Apple or PC?
What was that?
Are you an Apple or are you a PC?
Say Apple.
And finally, what?
I do both, so it's
some people are, that's what the interesting thing about this. Some people are adamant one, and then it's like, I don't know. Recycle or repurpose?
I'd like to think I'm crafty and can repurpose things, but I'm much better at just recycling.
All right, excellent. Thank you, Jen. I really appreciate you being here. Do you mind if people are able to link with you on or connect with you on LinkedIn or send you a message if they have questions?
Absolutely. And if you go to Cobb County GIS webpage, my name, my direct phone number to my office, and my email are right on our public facing page.
Awesome. And I will try to include as much of that as I can in the descriptions on Facebook and YouTube. Again, this is a series, so you'll find the playlist on YouTube, and if you subscribe to it, you will be notified when the latest ones have been updated. And we will hopefully get this figured out for Facebook Live next go around, which will be on July 11th with Robbie Hayes. And thanks for tuning in. Again, if you have any questions, you know where to find me, the Environmental Career Coach. I'll look forward to seeing you. Thank you, Jen.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.